Cleansing is something that I've used for a while in my practice. I really think cleansing is very important, and Cody was also an answer to my prayers, because I've been looking for somebody who is really good at educating the importance of exercise and how important food is in our lives and how the food choices we make are important. And somebody who managed a lot of the athleticism and a lot of the nutritional knowledge, but then also had a little bit of the holistic wellness that I really like too. And so it's been exciting because between the two of us, I think we fill in a lot of the gaps that both of us have been looking for in both of our lives and with our clients and with our patients. So we'll be talking about spring cleaning today, which is kind of just a fun way to say we're going to talk about cleansing programs for the body. So this was the flyer in my office, so we don't need to look at this one. Okay. So when I present cleanses to my patients, the first thing I usually hear is, what's that? Why do I need to do it? How do I do it? Well, when would I do it? And what are the benefits? And those are the questions that people usually ask me. So when you think of cleansing, cleansing has multiple definitions. And the cleansing that I want to talk about today is more of a detox. So some of the words I'm going to use today are going to be words that are detox, detoxification, cleanse, cleansing. And all of those words basically mean that we're going to try to clean toxins out of the body. So when you think about cleansing or detoxification, it really is more of an alternative medicine way of going through the body and ridding it of all the toxins that we accumulate. Toxins are considered to be anything that's a harmful substance, anything that exerts an undesirable effect on the body. This can be anything from bad water to polluted air to bad food. It can even be a disease or an inflammation process within the body. Anything like that that might overall impact our health and our wellness. And ultimately, the concern with toxins in the body is they result in diseases. And the reason why diseases occur is because the toxins will cause inflammation. The body will recognize them as something that normally shouldn't be there. And the body responds to that with an inflammatory response. And it also causes the immune system to react. And for a lot of people, if your immune system's been under stress for a long time, the immune system can shut down or go into distress, and you can start developing multiple allergies, things to foods, skin rashes, chronic fatigue, those kinds of things. So there really are some interesting historical premises for body cleansing. And when I researched this, I was really excited to see that I wasn't the first one, and neither was Cody, to talk about this. This has been going on for centuries. The Greeks did this, the Egyptians did this, the Chinese did this. Most of the herbal remedies that we read about and that we use, or that we find in supplements now, were really concocted, you know, in like 400 AD. I mean, they're so old, and it's amazing to see that things like garlic and milk thistle and wheat germ and some of the things that we really use now actually been used for years before we even had the type of medicine we had now. It was actually the medicine of the time they had then. So when you think of cleansing, the premises that they thought of back then, you know, they really didn't have CAT scans, MRIs, microscopes, but they did know that the food that you consumed had a direct effect on the body. And some of the foods that you ate would actually putrefy, become toxins in the body, and cause disease. They didn't know how, but they knew that it happened. The toxins in our environment today can cause the same inflammation and the same diseases. And I would say at this point, the environment we live in now is much more toxic than what our ancestors lived in years ago. Self-awareness, having a very poor self-awareness, can also increase stress hormones and result in disease. Self-awareness is kind of a term, and I love the way Cody explains this when she talks about detox, because the way she explains it is a way of just being in tune with your body, knowing what your body needs. Are you out of whack? Are you out of balance? Are you stressed? Are you dehydrated? And if you have an awareness of yourself, and if you know what your body needs, and if you can tell when it's out of whack, there's so much more you can do for yourself. So cleansing is really a planned systemic process, basically used for the purpose of cleaning these toxins out of the body. It's something you intend to do, and you intend to do it in a very systematic way. Whatever cleansing program you use, there's a plan for it. It's not something that you just haphazardly do. It can be a day long, it can be multiple days long, it can be a month long. It can cleanse one body system, or it can cleanse the entire body. But it's something that you invoke on as a plan, and you know exactly what you're going to do from start to finish, and there are some really strict guidelines within that plan. Cleansing is often referred to detoxification or detox. And then just for the purposes of today, I will probably use all these words interchangeably. So I hope it's not confusing, but just know that cleanse and cleansing and detoxification basically means we're trying to get toxins out of the body that are going to cause inflammation, disease, fatigue, headaches, and other symptoms that we recognize in our bodies that we don't want to have. So the most commonly question I get besides how is it, what is it, the next thing is, well, is it really necessary? I really have to do this? And I say, in short, after 20 minutes of thinking in my mind all the reasons why they need to do it, I say, well, yeah, absolutely, you need a cleanse. Everybody needs a cleanse. So why are they necessary? So many reasons. I could do slides and slides of reasons. The most important thing to recognize is that in the world we live in today, everything is man-made. Most things are synthetic. Very few things are natural for us anymore. We go to the grocery store, we buy what we want to eat in a package, processed in a plant somewhere else. Most of our food is picked 3 weeks before it's even ripe. We don't get the nutritional content out of it. You know, we really don't put a lot of control over what we do, what we put in our bodies. We just go to the store, we buy it. Synthetic materials are an issue. Unnatural handling, processing. You know, my favorite thing to read on ingredient panels is, you know, may contain milk, peanuts, eggs, or processed in a plant that also processed all these other things. So when you're getting your food, it's not just processed, but it's also contaminated in a way that that food you're eating has also been handled or processed around lots of other foods. So nothing's really pure anymore. It's all mixed together. It's all processed together. Stress is another thing. You know, we are all stressed. We're all very busy. We run from morning till night. We don't sleep. We are constipated and we don't drink enough water. That is stress. That's hard on the body. Our food is nutritionally vacant. We don't have a lot of vitamins in our food. Everything is very dead, pretty much. Our water isn't filtered. I live in an area of Utah County where the water concentration is not very clean. It is not very good. It's also very hard water, which is hard on your body. I was doing some research on this, and I looked up my county, my area, my city, and saw all the things that were in the water that was coming through my tap. And I was really nervous about it, and I was really glad that I had a filter on my sink, inspired by Cody, because I felt like it was something I probably should have done a long time ago, and I felt bad that I hadn't done it before. But filtering the water is important because the water we get is fairly clean. We live in an industrial society. Our water is going to be generally safe, but it's also going to be full of a lot of toxins that our bodies really just don't need. Our air is polluted. We have autoimmune diseases. You know, I've been in the medical field for probably 21 years, I would say, maybe longer, and I don't remember 20 years ago being a nurse in the hospital and seeing the amount of autoimmune diseases we have now. I don't remember hearing so many diseases with the letters itis at the end, colitis, rhinitis. I mean, all of the diseases that end with itis, those are inflammatory diseases brought on by our own immune systems. Our immune systems can't handle the toxins that we give them. Food allergies are rampant right now, everywhere. I didn't know anybody growing up in my neighborhood. Cody and I were discussing this a while ago. I can't think of a friend or a neighbor that had a food allergy. Maybe one kid in school had a peanut allergy, but now I can name people in my ward, my neighborhood, probably 30% of my practice, they're allergic to something that they eat. Those things all come from the immune system reacting to toxins. Toxic gastrointestinal systems, our bowels don't move like they should. Constipation is probably one of the biggest complaints a lot of my women patients complain of, and constipation is a high risk for cancer. And so, you know, when toxins sit in the gut, and our gut is 30 feet long, and it is our most important elimination system besides our kidneys and our lymph nodes and our ability to sweat and exhale and breathe these things out of our bodies, when toxins sit in the gut for a week, it's probably not very good for your body. So exposure to toxins creates in the inflammation. It creates disease, poor aging, vitamin deficiencies, infections, and cancer. Exposure to toxins can also create autoimmune diseases because our body doesn't recognize it as something that is true to itself. Autoimmune diseases are a real sign that there's some real inflammation going on in the body. Basically, it's an easy way to describe this is when the body's immune system does not recognize its own tissue or its own organs. So it doesn't recognize its own bowel, it doesn't recognize its own tonsils, it doesn't recognize its own skin. And it starts to create antibodies in response to whatever it thinks it's an antigen, anything it thinks it's foreign, even if it is your bowel lining. It can still think it's foreign, it doesn't recognize it anymore. And it starts to attack its own body tissues, and it causes damage through inflammation. Inflammation can cause infection. Infection can lead to all sorts of other things. Poor absorption is probably the most important thing that I see when I think of inflammation. I would say most of my patients are severely anemic. I would say that they do not absorb their vitamins very well through their bowel. And I would say that the biggest cause of that is because of the inflammation in their bowel lining. Whenever there's inflammation, absorption is going to be poor. And our gut is probably our closest link to health that we have. It's also our biggest immune system. Some examples of autoimmune diseases that you might recognize would be thyroiditis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I see that so often now, and I didn't see that 10 years ago. And that's when the body doesn't recognize its own thyroid, and it attacks its own thyroid. Food allergies. Antibodies attack the colon wall. That's one thing we see a lot. Also attack the skin. You can see rashes and hives and eczemas in response to food allergies. So how does a detox work? That's the next thing most people will say. Do I need one? I say yes. And then they say, okay, why do I need one? I'll talk to them about the toxins. And then they'll say, well, how does it work? Do I really want to get into this? So it really just cleans the body out. And some of the things you're looking at when you look for a detox program, and there are many, and there's not a wrong way to do it as long as you do it safely and you do your research. There's not a specific day that you have to do it, and you don't have to cleanse one system or the entire body. You can kind of work it out, whatever you think you need. But the most important things about a detox program that you want to look for is you want to look at a way to rest the organs. And typically you're going to rest the organs through fasting. It's really hard for my patients to understand when I tell them I want them to do a 12 to 14 hour fast every day. I want their gut to rest. I don't want them to eat 24/7. I need their body to be able to be in a resting mode. I would love it if they didn't eat after 7 o'clock at night and they didn't break their fast until 9 or 10 in the morning. I would love that. Or if they didn't eat after 6 and they didn't break their fast till 8 in the morning. The longer you can fast, the better your organs are. We don't need to eat all the time. We all have plenty of stored energy, and so going 12 hours without food is going to be okay. The more you can let the gut rest, the more time you can give the liver to detoxify and purify and clean the blood system, the more that you can let your system just calm, the better. Stimulating the liver to drive toxins from the body is very important. The liver is a link to health in the sense that it literally purifies and cleanses the blood. If your liver isn't going to work, you're not going to clean the blood. The liver will purify about 100 or more gallons of blood a day. And what it does when the blood goes through this liver is it takes all the toxins out. And if you don't let that liver detoxify, if you drink a lot of alcohol, if you take a lot of prescription medications, if you eat a lot of fatty food, the liver is it's basically the strainer that gets the fat out of the blood that you're eating. And so it collects all that blood and then it sends it through the bile system and through the bile ducts. And if you don't give that liver time to clean the blood and get the toxins out, or get the fat out of the bloodstream and do something with it, you're going to start having some liver problems. Elimination is also very important, and our biggest elimination systems are going to be the intestines, obviously. The kidneys are also going to filter a lot of toxins out. The skin is going to filter a lot through sweat, and the lymph system is also going to filter a lot through our immune system. We also want to improve the circulation of our blood, and we want to refuel the body with healthy nutrients. This is so important because a lot of people understand this, but when it comes to this, and I say, okay, now you got to eat good food, they all go, oh, why? Apples, raw food, vegetables, no milk. No sugar, but you have to clean out the body and you have to refuel it with something healthy. It's really an important part of detox. So cleaning the blood. Cleanses remove the impurities from the blood. The liver processes all the toxins in the blood. It cleans the blood of impurities. It cleanses more than 100 gallons of blood every day. You need to give it a chance to do its job. Cleanses work to improve toxin elimination through the kidneys, the intestines, the lungs. A lot of us don't think of our lungs as a way to get rid of toxins, but we exhale carbon dioxide, which is a toxin for our body. If we don't exhale that, and if we don't get rid of that, it causes acid states in the body. It makes us very sick. The lungs are very important. We have to breathe. Our lymph system is also important, and the skin as well. So